Zombie Killers, Elephant's Graveyard. Now, not to be confused with another movie which just came out in 2014, just called Zombie Killers. This is actually a whole different movie, and this one stars Billy Zane. And this film has clearly been influenced by TV's The Walking Dead, because it tries to ape some of the kind of the drama that you have between the characters actually in this movie. So the crux of the story here is it takes place at some point sort of when the zombie apocalypse has already happened, and basically it focuses on a kind of small settlement of survivors that have kind of fenced themselves off and made this kind of like a little town area. And they're basically run by this guy simply called the Doc, kind of like the governor in Walking Dead, I suppose. And he's basically decides who gets kind of ejected if they think they're kind of showing any sort of signs of turning into a zombie. But you kind of get the impression that maybe he just sends people off for his own kind of nefarious means. We're not quite sure if he's a good guy or a bad guy. And basically it's more of an ensemble piece than the kind of focusing on any one particular character. And this is going to be one of my main criticisms of this film, as I'll come on to. So basically it focuses on a whole bunch of characters as we kind of get to know what they're doing. Essentially, the zombie killers are a group of young people that are sort of sent out to obviously kill zombies, and they're kind of dressed up in kind of paintball gear and stuff like that. But you've also got this other kind of sort of militia types that are sort of in competition with them, and that are kind of within the camp, if that makes sense. And basically, the elephant graveyard side of this, the actual title there may be a little bit confusing. There's no elephants in this movie. There are some shitty ass zombie animals in it. So again, I'll come on to. But basically, it means that there's some kind of driving force for these zombies to be coming towards this sort of area. So when basically, for example, an elephant sort of goes, and it knows it's going to die, it heads towards the elephant graveyard by sort of some instinctual means. And this is what it's saying these zombies are doing. There's some kind of unknown force which is kind of pushing these zombies, so they're going to kind of herd across this particular township area. And that's basically the story. So the end of the movie is the climax of this massive horde, and it is a massive horde, I'll give it that, of zombies coming towards this kind of this small village. So let me just go through some of the weaknesses in this film. And to be honest with you, this film is significantly flawed. So first thing, there's far too many characters in this film. Like I said, it's trying to take its cues from The Walking Dead, and the majority of the time here is spent actually on the sort of the interactions between the different characters rather than the kind of the zombies themselves. And it's really sort of showing you these various different sort of social issues and kind of different kind of points of view that these sort of characters are having. As this kind of like religious woman who's got this kind of cult of true believers following her. There's all sorts of basically different sort of types of characters, and unfortunately in a movie compared to like a TV show, you just simply don't have the time for sort of the characterization. So you really don't care about any of the characters, to be quite honest. The only one you're really going to probably care about is Billy Zane, and that's probably because you're going to recognise him. And to be honest with you, even though he's the star of this movie, he's not in it a whole lot, although he is quite fun to watch, I will say that. But the rest of the characters are so forgettable, you simply don't care about their issues. And the other kind of weird thing that this movie does, it sort of sets up all these sort of like little minor subplots about all these sort of different characters, but really doesn't pay any of them off. There's all these sort of different things, like we have a pregnant woman, we've got, as I say, we've got this kind of religious zealot, we've got this older guy who's kind of to go testing in sort of the local area. Loads of different things, basically. Sort of rivalry between the two sort of warrior types. All these different things, basically, and hardly any of them are paid off. It's like, what was the point? What was the point of having all this kind of backstory for all these different characters that you've made it stretched out so thin you simply don't care, and then you hardly pay any of them off? It's really weird. So I think the focus of this film was to try and have the zombies more in the background, kind of like Walking Dead does to a certain degree, and then focus more on the kind of the human element, which was a mistake. For a movie like this, I think that was a mistake, and it should have maybe focused a bit more on the outside threats. The acting, again, is a mixed bag. Obviously, you have a couple of sort of more veteran actors here. Billy Zane, I think Dee Wallace is in it. But for the most part, some of the younger actors, for example, there's this blonde zombie killer who's absolutely a terrible actress, unfortunately. There's a few of them, to be honest with you, the acting just simply is sort of kind of subpar. There's not a lot of action in it. I say we have the kind of the big zombie herd at the end of the movie, and that's kind of the action set piece, I suppose. And to be honest with you, the the action isn't particularly well edited. The kind of the people sort of shooting guns and the kind of recoil and stuff just looks kind of fake. Obviously, it's a low-budget movie, so you kind of have to give it some leeway on this, but nevertheless. And there's a couple of sort of smaller sort of skirmishes, but very kind of minor stuff of the front half of the movie. But to be fair, there's not a lot of action in this as well. And the other kind of thing I will say is, for some reason, it feels the need to include zombie CGI animals. Again, they serve no purpose. This could have been cut out, and it would have had no difference in the movie. And the two occasions when this happens, it looks really bad. It looks really, really bad. And I'll come on to so some of the zombie effects are quite good for the humans, but these animal ones are terrible. There's a zombie fish, and it's just ridiculous. Okay, so, and zombie deers, no. So let's talk about some of the positives. So I actually thought the zombie makeup, for the most part, on the kind of the actual practical side of it, was actually quite good. There's some fairly good practical effects here. We don't see the zombies a hell of a lot, probably a lot less than you're going to think. So you probably won't see it as much as you would like. But when we do see it, I think they do quite a decent job with the actual zombie makeup as well. I also quite like some of the ideas behind why the zombies are doing what they're doing. And it throws maybe a couple of kind of original ideas into the mix. I kind of won't spoil it for you, because it's one of the sort of plus points of this film. But it has a few sort of twists on the genre that I think, can be sort of fairly good. But to be honest with you, that is pretty much the only kind of positives I've got to say, unfortunately, because this film is just way bogged down, probably by the whole idea of the script, unfortunately, was just poor execution. So unfortunately, I found it quite a tedious movie with characters I didn't care about, too many unresolved plot lines. I'm not sure if this is meant to be a continuing sort of story, because it certainly ends like it's going to be. It kind of sets up a whole bunch of new characters. So I found it quite a disappointing film, unfortunately. I would have liked to have seen more Billy Zane. He's actually quite fun in it. I will say that's another positive as well. And unfortunately, this was a disappointing zombie movie for me, so I'm going to give this movie a 3 out of 10. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment, and I will look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.